So happy feast day. We celebrate this awesome feast every year as a reminder that holiness looks like something, right? It's not just an abstract idea to be holy. It looks like something. Now, I do have a deep desire to be holy, and I hope that all of you have that same desire. But I also know how far I am away from that goal of holiness. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way. But see, the saints are here to remind us that it's perfectly normal and even a good thing to be aware of our humanity and the struggle that exists to be holy. One of my favorite saints is Saint Jose Maria Escrivá, and he once said, "A saint is a sinner who keeps trying." I love that quote, and I use it all the time because it's true. We are all sinners, my brothers and sisters, and the sooner we realize that, the sooner that we can start working on it. Now, our American culture is way too focused on being perfect, having the perfect body, the perfect job, the perfect photos, the perfect singing voice, the perfect house, the perfect kids, the perfect parents, the perfect athletic ability, and the list goes on. Well, I hate to break it to you, but nobody's perfect. Except our blessed Lord, of course, and our blessed Mother, and we are far from both of them, right? And the saints remind us that heaven is full of imperfect people who were able to follow Jesus despite their sins and their imperfections. Now, today's gospel is also a reminder that holiness isn't for the perfect. We heard, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Saint Ignatius of Loyola was certainly poor in spirit as he laid in his bed with 2 broken legs, wondering how he would ever be a famous knight in shining armor. When behold, he finds a book on the lives of the saints and the life of Christ. The Holy Spirit brought him out of his poor spirit, and now he enjoys the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Saint Rita of Cascia lost both of her sons and her husband to violence. Now, did that mourning make her hate God and run from his love? Absolutely not. In fact, it was the opposite. She ran directly toward God, even entering the convent later in life, and it was her deep prayer life and intimacy with Jesus Christ that ended with her receiving a great gift, the stigmata of Christ's crown of thorns on her head. Nothing else would comfort her more. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. Saint Martin de Porres was a poor Peruvian boy considered illegitimate because his mother was a slave. He was cast out from both his family and society, yet he embraced his poverty and saw the Holy Spirit working through him. He would then enter the Dominican order and serve as a faithful lay brother. He owned no land, but he considered himself very rich. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Saint Jose Sanchez del Rio thirsted for righteousness in Mexico during the Cristeros War. His desire for freedom of religion and care for the poor led this teenage boy to his death. The last words he spoke to the atheists trying to kill him, well, they didn't, they tried, and they accomplished it, they killed him. He said, "Viva Cristo Rey." Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Saint Maria Goretti was a teenage girl, brutally attacked and stabbed to death. The last words out of her young mouth were words of forgiveness to her attacker. Her parents later forgave the same man, and he was even present in St. Peter's Square when St. Maria was canonized a saint. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. St. Therese of Lisieux, also known as the Little Flower, has the purest heart of any saint I've read about. This holy woman knew who God is from the earliest of ages and knew her vocation was to love. She saw God everywhere and wanted to tell the world about him from her humble convent in France. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. St. Oscar Romero was another advocate for social justice, but he wanted to bring justice peacefully. He knew that the government didn't care about the rights of people, especially the poor. And St. Romero used his position as archbishop to promote peaceful protests, prayer vigils, and other peaceful means of fighting for justice. He knew that only peace and communion brought great success and results compared to rioting and looting. He was so successful, in fact, that they had to assassinate him as he was celebrating Mass to try to beat him. Blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. In 1962, Saint Gianna Molla sacrificed her life for the sake of her unborn child. She refused both an abortion and a hysterectomy while pregnant with her fourth child, despite knowing that her refusal could result in her own death. She knew deep in her core that we can't kill one person to save another. She, like Christ, sacrificed herself out of love for another. Blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every kind of evil against you falsely because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Saints Peter and Paul killed for preaching that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. Saint Mary Magdalene mocked and called a prostitute for preaching that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. Monasteries and churches destroyed and stolen from monks and sisters across Europe because of their faithfulness to the gospel when confronted by the Protestant Reformation. Catholics persecuted in our own country for preaching the good news that Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. My sisters and brothers, this is the life we're called to. It's not easy and it's not supposed to be, and none of us are perfect, but we have to try our best because that's what God asks of us. God doesn't expect perfection. He only expects us to try, to be holy, and to live lives of radical holiness. So let's do it together. That's really the only way we will be successful. Let's look to the saints for their help and support. And let's be the next group of saints that God is calling, especially during this time of pandemic and civil unrest. Let's be the saints that God is calling us to be.